stark raving mad. The fans in question had made a serious effort to sacrifice her to the Dark Lord before she had cracked a few heads to discourage them, loudly protesting that she was in no sense a virgin and thus not suitable for satanic sacrifices. Then there was the undercover job gone wrong when she'd ended up in the trunk of a crew of organ traffickers who intended to sell her off for spare parts. She hadn't realized how few steps there would be between signing up for the New Life Clinic's experimental treatment program and being drugged and thrown into the trunk of a car. Luckily for her, the drug wasn't as strong as it should have been, and the bad guys weren't as thorough as they needed to be, so she was able to groggily draw her backup weapon and, as soon as they opened the trunk, explain how she was not a fan of being drugged and dragged away. Her explanation might have been on the rough side. Still, it had ended without any shots being fired. In general, she'd been successful at toning things down compared to the usual pain and agony standard. In the past few months, she hadn't been close to any explosions, and she'd had to pull the trigger only a handful of times. She'd taken cases that suited her aggressive, investigative style without requiring violence. All things considered, she'd done well. In fact, she'd done so much better at avoiding serious violence without pain around that she was beginning to question things, like how the violence in their career had been due solely to him and his way of doing business rather than to her. That made it even stranger that she was solving chess problems as if she could make up for his absence by badly playing his favorite game. "It's not the same without you," Agony muttered, knowing there was no one to hear. She reminded herself to focus and gazed at the building she was watching from her hiding place on the roof. Agony was wrapping up an investigation into a sex trafficking ring. Among other things, the ring used the information gained from its clientele for blackmail and extortion. Agony didn't feel bad for those who were being extorted. They'd paid to have sex with trafficked women, but they didn't have the decency to ruin their own lives when the sex traffickers turned on them. Most of them were willing to ruin other lives to avoid being exposed. As a result, many humiliating and devastating business decisions in recent months were made by clients of the sex traffickers to cover up their indiscretions. A small but motivated coterie of investors had hired Agony to discover the reasons for the senseless acts of a few powerful decision-makers, and she had discovered their shared connection to the ring of sex traffickers she liked to think of as indiscretions are us. Now her clients wanted evidence to shut the traffickers down to protect their financial investments, with no concern for the victims. Still, her clients' interests did coincide with Agony's. As far as she was concerned, being paid to take down sex traffickers was a win, whatever the reason. She was on the roof, hidden behind a large chimney, watching the building through a rifle scope and trying to solve chess problems she could barely visualize. She'd been here over the last 3 days, watching clients come and go. They parked in the parking lot, looking back and forth with furtive glances, not even thinking about the possibility that they would be filmed as soon as they got upstairs. At the door, they'd be patted down by armed guards. Finally, they'd make their choice from a lineup known as the buffet, selecting however many women they could afford for whatever unusual fetishes they wanted. When they entered the bedrooms, the cameras would start rolling, capturing each client's face in easily identifiable HD. It was the perfect scam. Make money selling sex, then make more money selling anonymity. To a man who was about to be exposed to a wife or a business partner, it was an easy choice. If the traffickers wanted him to make a bad investment, like throwing a bunch of money at an unstable cryptocurrency, he might know he would lose a lot of money, but he would not object. As far as Agony was concerned, these guys deserved to go down as bad.